Mercer County is a diverse and astounding region of New Jersey. It has open meadows, dense interior forest, and vast marshlands, all within 20 minutes of one another. Even with a human population of almost 400,000 people, its protected lands and open space provide an ecological haven for wildlife year-round. This wildlife is accessible for anybody in the county and beyond. It's just a short drive, and there are parks all over that let you get close and personal with these animals. Some birds, like many animals, migrate. Here in Mercer County, we have some migratory guests come from the northern latitudes to spend the winter in our balmy 30-degree warm weather. These include two year-round competitors, northern harriers and short-eared owls. They both love wide open plains with grass that have meadow voles and other small mammals for prey. These birds compete for these food sources year-round, whether they're overwintering or in their nesting grounds. Not all owls are strictly nocturnal. Short-eared owls are one of those exceptions. Depending on the time of year, they may come out hours before the sun sets. However, they're still mostly active at night here in Mercer, where they're overwintering. In the breeding season is when it's really different. They have so many babies to feed and not enough time, so they spend all day and all night hunting, taking shifts, male and female. Harriers, on the other hand, are diurnal. This means that they're only active during the day, all the time. So, in that brief overlap period, where the short-eared owls have come out for the night and the harriers have not quite settled in, they chase one another, attack one another, and cause an electric stir-up where they're all trying to fight for the same prey at the same time. These birds give us a glimpse in the middle of New Jersey at what happens in Canada and the northern US all the rest of the year. Most of our birds aren't just overwintering. Some of them even leave for the winter in search of really warm weather further south. We have a few types of songbirds here. We have short-distance migrants, neotropical migrants, and winter residents. Short-distance migrants, well, they are what they sound like. They head south, but not too far, just far enough where they can have food all winter long. Neotropical migrants, they head to the tropics, down past Mexico, even into the islands. Winter residents, well, they're winter residents. They stay in New Jersey all year long, including through the harsh cold winters. Red-winged blackbirds tread the line between a short-distance migrant and a winter resident here in New Jersey. Technically they're here, but we don't see them in Mercer County over the winter. When they do come back, their boisterous song and the male's shining red epaulets are something that can make even the most seasoned naturalist stop and appreciate the pending return of spring and warm weather. The eastern towhee is a large sparrow that's a true short-distance migrant. They head down south to Virginia and North Carolina, where they'll have exposed ground and food all winter long. They leave late and return early, and they're a great sign that spring is on the way. When you see songbirds returning, there's one more thing you can look for that's definitely going to tell you spring is almost here, and that's birds building nests. Nest building is one of those things that's so exciting to see, knowing that these birds are going to pass their genes on and continue the species. But some bird nests are harder to find than others. Great horned owls, or Bubo virginianus as they're scientifically called, are a widespread and well-known member of the owl family. Their hoot-hoot call is chilling and beautiful, and it's a familiar sound to people all over North America. Although they're listed as a species of low concern, they are incredibly ecologically valuable due to their widespread impact on people. Who doesn't love owls? We had the pleasure of viewing and filming a great horned owl nest throughout different stages. When we first found it, the mother was sitting on eggs, but all we could see was a couple of ear tufts. You know, those little things that give a great horned owl its great horns. A few weeks later, there were 3 little owlets crowding the nest. Great horned owls are nest scavengers, meaning that they do not construct the nest themselves. Rather, they use cavities in old trees or nests from other birds in years past. These owlets were cramped in the nest, and one day, without the camera there, I found one baby that had been knocked out prematurely. This bird was not even close to fully fledging, and it was dangerously close to a high traffic trail. So, after consulting with some experts, it was captured and brought to the Mercer County Wildlife Center, where it's going to be professionally raised without having any human imprintation, and released once it's fledged. Though some owls do experience siblicide, which is siblings killing others for food resources, this case doesn't seem to be like that. It may have been just siblings playing in a tightly cramped nest and one happened to fall out. But since we didn't see the owlet leave the nest, we'll never know. The interior forest of Mercer County holds many more secrets than just owls, though. One of the deepest reds that nature has gifted this earth with is on the red-headed woodpecker. This is a state-endangered bird that relies heavily on old-growth interior woodland for its habitat. New Jersey has lost so many trees to farmland and development that there's not much old-growth forest left. And that means there's not many red-headed woodpeckers. These birds are declining as a whole, but are especially rare here in New Jersey. There is, however, one spot where they're almost a given. This preserved woodland in Mercer County has a nesting pair of red-headed woodpeckers that has been here for a few years now. They've successfully raised young at least twice. These protected woods are giving life to a severely declining population of birds. Species like the red-headed woodpecker are easily overlooked by the general public because they go unseen. After all, how can you see a bird that's in steep decline? They're also very, very often misidentified. You know those woodpeckers that show up at your bird feeder every winter with a red mohawk? Well, those are not red-headed woodpeckers. In general, they're a red-bellied woodpecker, which happen to have red on their heads, but people regularly incorrectly call them red-headed woodpeckers. This makes it really hard to tell the general public that we need to protect the forest and save the red-headed woodpecker because they just say, why? I get those at my feeder all the time. This is another reason why science education is so important, especially focusing on local biodiversity. Humans have caused a ton of major problems on this earth. Everything from pollution to climate change are things that nature didn't really have to deal with before us and our industrial revolution. These new factors are things that species are having to deal with that they've never had before. And it's changing their behaviors and patterns that have been selected for and perfected over hundreds of thousands of years. Despite these challenges, though, many species are doing well and continue to amaze people with their prominent return every spring. Neotropical migrant songbirds, like I mentioned before, are incredibly important to a lot of people. These include most of the warblers. These small songbirds are the driving force in the birding community, and people chase the 53 warbler species that we get here day in and day out throughout spring migration in early May. This 2-week period is crazy, and you see tons of people with binoculars on your local trails. Yellow-rumped warblers are an odd one, though. They are a long-distance neotropical migrant, but inevitably, a few of them decide to stay in New Jersey throughout the winter every year. But it's in the spring that they assemble en masse. Sometimes hundreds can be seen within a few hundred yards in just a few minutes outside. They flit around above your head, and it is an incredible spectacle to see. These are little bits of color that brighten cloudy spring mornings before the leaves emerge, and then they move on to their northern breeding territories.
Great shot of the bouncing butt.
Oh my gosh, and even better stuff. Over the lake right now, tree swallows.